Meghan Markle in Paris.
Now let's have a look at Meghan Markle being weird and inauthentic.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
Well, you know I'm Sussex now.
The white, on white Messiah gown. Or some people call it the toilet paper gown.
Oh, you are not ready for this one. So it all started as something Meghan Markle thought would be this quiet, classy little favor. You know, the kind of luxury request whispered between the elite and haute couture insiders. Word from Paris insiders says Meghan's team reached out directly to Hermès headquarters late last year. The Duchess wanted something special, something no one else in the world had. A custom Birkin bag that screamed influence, power, and philanthropy. And honey, she had notes. Detailed ones. She wanted the bag made from ethically sourced leather with gold-plated hardware, and get this, a tiny engraved quote from one of her own speeches. Like, seriously, she wanted her words on the Birkin, and she wanted it done in time for her upcoming Montecito Charity Gala, an event she planned to use as her big, dazzling return to the elite fashion scene. Sounds glamorous, right? Except that's not what happened. See, on paper, it should have been simple. Celebrities and royals have gotten custom Hermès pieces before, but according to 3 different Paris fashion sources, this wasn't a polite no. Oh no, this turned into a full-on embarrassment. Apparently, Hermès's response came from their international relations department, and it was painfully polite, like too polite. The kind of thank you, but no thank you that hurts more because it's so smooth. And then came the line that shook Meghan's camp.
And with the Balenciaga creative director, let's look at this.
Would you mind taking my picture? Thank you.
It's so cringe to watch, isn't it?
Very.
So awkward. But fans are slamming Meghan for this, calling her the Duchess of Hypocrisy.
Madame Hermès does not accept external creative direction on heritage pieces. Our legacy is defined by the Maison, not by collaboration translation. You're not the designer here, sweetheart. But Meghan's team wasn't about to let that slide. Her senior stylist shot back an email within hours, suggesting that Meghan's fresh take could modernize Hermès for a new generation. The next day, her personal assistant followed up, doubling down, saying the Duchess was all about aligning luxury with purpose. And that's when Hermès decided to escalate. Instead of quietly replying, a senior executive in Paris did something almost unthinkable for a brand like Hermès. They forwarded the entire email exchange, cleaned up but still obviously recognizable, to a handful of fashion editors. The message? This is what happens when modern entitlement meets traditional craftsmanship. And then, oh baby, the whispers began.
Another look at it.
It started softly, tiny murmurs on Paris fashion blogs, that a certain former royal had tried to tell Hermès how to design a bag. Then boom.
And they're showing plenty of behind-the-scenes content. Now, let's just take a look at the Duchess strutting for the cameras.
It snowballed. The rumor spread like wildfire across French social media. And then one Paris insider posted 4 little words that detonated the internet. They said no publicly. That's right, publicly. Hermès, the most private, most discreet luxury brand in the world, had indirectly humiliated a duchess. And by the time Meghan's team realized what was happening, oh, the damage was global. Because in the world of fashion, silence equals power. And Hermès? They didn't stay silent, they went for exposure.
And just a reminder, every deleted tweet, fake statement, and PR cover-up takes hours to piece together. If you want to help this channel keep going, hit that join button and become a member. We'll keep exposing what they won't.
Controversy around this brand and an ad that was seen as quite creepy that involved...
The fallout began almost immediately, not through press releases or big statements, but through whispers, subtle, devastating. By the end of the week, stylists from Paris to Milan were texting each other the same 5 words. Hermès rejected Meghan Markle. At first, everyone thought it was a joke. Hermès doesn't gossip. Hermès crafts. But when a century-old fashion house decides to make an example of someone, oh, they don't need to go public and they just let the world connect the dots. The story started in private chats, fashion dinners, PR brunches, luxury WhatsApp groups, and within days, it jumped into tabloids. Le Monde de Mode dropped a chef's kiss headline. Hermès remains faithful to its roots. No names, no confirmations, just a photo of a Montecito sunset. But everyone knew, inside Meghan's camp, panic. Sources say she was furious, humiliated, not just because they said no, but because Hermès made it sound like a matter of integrity. They made it seem like she was the one crossing the line, one insider whispered. Meghan was livid. She immediately called an emergency PR meeting. The message was simple: get ahead of this, control the story. Her team started drafting a statement, trying to flip the narrative, saying Meghan had politely declined a potential partnership that didn't align with her ethical sourcing values. But before she could even release it, Hermès struck again. This time through their creative director in an interview with Le Figaro. When asked about celebrity collaborations, he smiled and said, "Hermès doesn't collaborate, we create. There is a difference," when the journalist pressed further, "but do you ever make exceptions?" He laughed lightly. "We've had many requests, some very famous ones. But when a name outweighs the craftsmanship, we must decline." Ouch! The room laughed politely, but everyone in fashion knew exactly who he meant. By the next morning, Twitter, or should I say X, and TikTok had translated it for the world. That Hermès rejects Meghan was trending. Memes everywhere. Side-by-side photos of Meghan's old luxury looks next to the iconic Birkin, captioned, "Not every door opens to a duchess." Inside Montecito, the vibe was icy. Staff were told, don't mention Hermès, but Meghan, oh, she was already plotting her comeback. She didn't see this as humiliation. She saw it as a challenge. And if there's one thing Meghan Markle doesn't do, it's back down from a challenge. So, picture this, Montecito, midnight. The atmosphere inside Meghan's house, electric with anger and ambition. That same night, she gathered her PR team, still reeling from the Birkin rejection, and laid out a plan. The name, Operation Legacy Reset. This wasn't just about fixing an image. Oh no, this was about revenge through reinvention. She wanted to pivot the narrative, from luxury and exclusivity to empowerment and ethics. Step 1. Publicly denounce elitism. A few days later, Meghan appeared in a film charity segment wearing a soft white blouse, her hair loose, her tone oh so gentle. She spoke about the illusion of status and how true influence comes from impact, not labels. It was the perfect message until people noticed the timing. The phrase, impact, not labels, that was the exact same wording used by the Hermès creative director back in 2019 in an interview about humility and luxury. Oh, the shade. The fashion world caught it instantly. Headlines exploded. Meghan fires back at Hermès. Duchess calls out status culture. Days after Birkin snub. Classic Meghan, polished, indirect, dripping with plausible deniability. But Hermès, they weren't amused. Instead of trading words, the brand posted an icy statement on social media. It was simple, elegant, and devastating. Hermès does not engage in public discourse. Below the caption sat a vintage photo of the founder's handwritten quote, "Luxury is what you don't see." Translation, silence is our statement. Their stillness spoke volumes, and it cut deep. But Meghan's team didn't stop. They reached out to stylists, influencers, and eco-luxury labels to launch a campaign on modern ethics in design. The pitch was strong, Meghan Markle leading the movement for responsible luxury. But one by one, brands turned her down. Nobody wanted to be the rebound after Hermès. It felt radioactive, one Paris insider said, and then came the whisper. Hermès' senior execs had allegedly instructed all branches to avoid influencers linked to controversy. Not written anywhere, not official. But in fashion, a Hermès whisper is gospel. By the end of the week, Meghan's name had become synonymous with what she dreaded most, overreach. A columnist from Business of Fashion summed it up brutally. When you try to edit a legacy brand, you don't change it. It edits you out. And that's exactly what was happening. For the first time since leaving the royal family, Meghan found herself locked out of the world she'd spent years trying to conquer. Stylists once begging to dress her, suddenly unavailable. PR firms ghosted her. Event planners whispered, "The second you mention her name, brands get nervous. Nobody wants a Duchess versus Maison headline." But Meghan, stubborn, fiery Meghan, refused to fold. "If they think I need them," she told her aides, "they're mistaken. They need me." That spark birthed her next move, the Montecito Manifesto. Late one night, she called her tight inner circle, stylists, PR heads, even a filmmaker, and pitched a personal project titled Own It. The concept? Meghan wearing sustainable independent designers, small ateliers, women-led brands, a visual declaration that she didn't need legacy. She was legacy. It was bold, defiant, and aimed squarely at Paris. But oh boy, the cracks showed fast. Half the designers dropped out before filming began, scared of angering Hermès. 2 photographers withdrew last minute. One even sent a tearful email. "We admire your courage, but we can't risk our contracts." Still, Meghan pushed on. The first teaser went live on her foundation's website, a black and white photo of her barefoot in a minimalist studio wearing a linen trench holding a hand-woven clutch. The caption read, "Luxury without permission." The internet went wild. Fans screamed empowerment. Critics sneered, "Tantrum in linen." But what came next? Absolute chaos. A French journalist from Madame Figaro dropped a bombshell article titled, "The Duchess Who Wanted a Birkin." It exposed everything, the emails, the meeting times, even Meghan's request for that engraved quote. Someone had leaked the receipts. The piece ended with a dagger. A Birkin cannot be earned through insistence, only through patience. Within hours, #Birkingate trended worldwide. Late-night hosts mocked it as the world's most exclusive rejection. And for Meghan, the humiliation was total. Hermès didn't need to speak. Their silence became the punchline. Inside Montecito, chaos reigned. Her communications director pulled 3 all-nighters trying to bury the story. But burying Hermès? That's like trying to smother fire with perfume. Everything just smells worse. It wasn't about a bag anymore, one insider sighed. It was Meghan versus heritage, celebrity versus class, influence versus legacy. Meanwhile, Hermès carried on as if nothing happened. The Paris flagship launched a new campaign the same week, a serene photo of an artisan stitching a Birkin by hand, captioned, "Made by hand, not by headline." Elegant, effortless, devastating. Meghan's advisors panicked. Maybe a redemption pivot, a sustainability collab, a heartfelt interview about values over vanity, but doors were closing everywhere. Producers? Fully booked? Editors? No angle. Even her own team began whispering, maybe we should let this one go. But Meghan? Never. In a leaked email to her staff, she wrote, "They humiliated me because I refused to bow to tradition." This isn't about a handbag, it's about hierarchy, and that's when she filmed her version of the story. Dressed in neutral tones, she stared straight into the camera and said, "Every woman who's ever been told she's asking for too much knows what this feels like. Sometimes they say no, not because you're wrong, but because they're afraid of change." It was powerful, emotional, but the internet wasn't feeling it. Comments split in half, some cheering, others rolling their eyes. One viral reply summed up the backlash. She asked for a bag, got a lesson, and turned it into a speech. TikTok exploded with parodies. Users reenacted her speech with fake Hermès executives nodding politely as violins swelled. Her sincerity became a meme, and that's when Paris struck again, quietly, cruelly, brilliantly. A week later, at the Hermès Spring Show, the cameras panned across the front row, Beyoncé, Amal Clooney, Miranda Vale, all seated together, each carrying a different edition of the Birkin. No one mentioned Meghan. They didn't need to. The image said it all. In Montecito, Meghan saw the photo at breakfast. 3 women she once considered peers, now symbols of her exclusion. She looked at the screen, set her phone down and whispered, "They're sending a message." And they were. For the fashion elite, that moment was choreographed perfection. Hermès had turned subtle humiliation into an art form. From that day, Meghan wasn't just out, she was a ghost haunting haute couture. Inside her team, morale collapsed. PR firms stopped taking calls. Stylists declined bookings. Even her Hollywood allies backed away, calling her too combustible for couture. Still, Meghan refused to fade. She decided to rewrite her own story. Her new narrative? Not rejection, but rebellion. She pitched op-eds to magazines about how the old guard feared powerful women, but editors refused. One even emailed, and yes, it leaked. Every time she paints herself as the victim, it just reminds readers of the scandal. It's exhausting. That line, "It's exhausting," went viral on its own. By the end of the week, Meghan's advisors begged her to go dark. No posts, no statements, just silence. But Meghan couldn't. Silence felt like surrender. So she called her filmmaker friend and began crafting something new. A short film. Soft, symbolic, personal. It wouldn't mention Hermès directly, just the theme of rejection. They shot it in her garden, golden dusklight filtering through trees. Meghan narrated her own story, closing with, "Sometimes the door that closes isn't rejection, it's redirection." It was lovely, hopeful. The video premiered on her foundation's YouTube page and got gentle praise. But across the ocean, Hermès answered once again, not with words, with article. Their next campaign launched that same weekend, a breathtaking photo of an artisan finishing a Birkin captioned, "What's asked for is ordinary. What's offered is timeless." No hashtags, no tags, just power wrapped in silence. And that, darling, was Checkmate. Again, was